Welcome to AFSPA Talks, a production of the American Foreign Service Protective Association with Chief Operating Officer Kyle Longton. Be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast channel. Enjoy the episode.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of AFSPA Talks. This is Kyle Longton, and along with me,
Hannah Wolfart.
Hannah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Kyle.
It's 2022, and it's starting out, unfortunately, so much like 2021 did. So we are not together in our makeshift studio in the office, but hope maybe the audio quality is coming through better from our individual homes as we're recording this. And we're going to look forward. We're going to look back today, and we're going to look forward. So we'll say that today AFSPA talks about New Year's resolutions and the year ahead. But before we do that, how was your holiday break?
It was good. And Kyle, I was thinking about you over the holiday because I definitely took in some of the advice that we got from our last episode before the big break, and from Dr. Rubens and Leah Briggs about moderation with holiday eating and with sweets and things like that. So that was a health win for me. I felt pretty good about, sticking to their advice.
I'm so impressed because we had a difficult break with my kids and my wife and I, where all of us were sick at one point or another. So could not say that I ate very well, like when I could eat over the break, but it was definitely moderation because we weren't cooking anything most of the time. But I'm glad that you had some health wins. Did you get out and exercise at all, or?
This is very exciting for me. And we've talked a little bit about how I like to exercise before. So hopefully you'll understand my excitement here.
Mm-hmm.
I have been saving up for it, and I finally did it. I got the Peloton.
That's amazing. My best friend got one last year and rides it every day and loves it. Do you?
I am
also?
Totally obsessed with it. And spinning has always been my preferred method of exercise. And now that it's just right in my apartment, it's absolutely perfect.
It's like in the living room, in the bedroom.
Well, I'm in
kitchen.
A studio, so it's
okay.
It's a nice tight little.
It's in the exercise room, which has multi-purpose. Excellent.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, that's fantastic. I have heard great things. We've actually talked about getting one at my house, but I don't know where we would put it right now. So the ceilings in my basement where I am right now are a little too low. That's my excuse.
You can't deconstruct the podcast studio, Kyle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What would we do with this one little piece of area that's not covered in, blankets or boots or toys or something like that? I had an exercise win also, but it doesn't come across as good parenting. So we took my family and I went to Busch Gardens down in Williamsburg, and we did a lot of walking. We also took like the cable cars they have, the gondolas that you can go up and see the whole park and everything. And I was there with just two of my kids one day. My wife was home with the other one sick, and they wanted to take the cable car through the sky to get back to the front of the park. It was absolutely going to be like an hour's long wait. And with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, I was not going to do that. So
Not happening.
So I bought their compliance that I would buy them a toy if we could walk to the front of the park. I checked my pedometer later. I dragged those kids for 3 miles.
No, you dragged a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old 3 miles?
He got carried a little bit. The 2-year-old got carried a little bit because he was sick with croup and some other things. But no, absolutely. At one point they asked me to stop that. Can we take a break, and chugged like a half liter of water each because I hadn't taken breaks for them. So not great parenting, but we all got our exercise that day. Does that count?
You got those steps in.
Are you going to leave this in the podcast, or does this get edited out?
This definitely gets left in, Kyle. Your
Absolutely.
True colors need to be shown.
All right. So let's move on. So 2022, any resolutions? You've got the Peloton, so obviously you're spending some time with that. Do you have like a goal every week, or is it daily?
And I'm actually in a monthly goal right now. It's 30 for 30. So doing 30 days of exercise in like the whole month of January.
Okay. Wow.
30 minutes a day.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm trying, I have goals for 2022.
So day 6, still going strong?
Going strong so far.
Recording this. Okay, great. I think for me, I didn't actually say anything, but one thing I'm trying to do is I got off track checking my blood sugar over the holidays. Honestly, like since Thanksgiving, it's been very sporadic. And so I'm trying to make sure I check it at least twice a day. And my numbers have been really good. So it's also not like
Great.
I'm avoiding bad news, but that it's a small goal, but I feel like it's an important one for me right now as I'm trying to get other things back on track. So little things. And I think that's a really good maybe segue both of our goals, yours very ambitious and fitness forward, and mine just sort of manage a chronic condition and just pricking my finger. And then that's probably a good segue for us to talk about what our members can do, and that they can start working on their own health related resolutions right now.
Yeah. So Kyle, where should our members start?
If I were one of our members, I would start with a health risk assessment. So our members will put a link in the show notes, but they can go to afspa.org/FSBP/wellness-programs and click on health risk assessment. And it'll take them, there's a couple options there. One, you can do it online, or there is a phone number you can call. It's a different number from last year. And the health risk assessment, we've talked about this in a previous podcast, I think, but it takes about 20 minutes. It's going to ask you questions about like how much do you sleep? Do you eat your fruits and vegetables? Do you exercise? What's your cholesterol and so forth? And once you complete that, all members, enrollees and dependents age 18 and older can do this and earn $75 for completing it.
And we did talk in depth about this with CEO Paula Jacob back in an episode in July about wellness incentives. So you guys can go back and check that out if you want more details as well. So
Absolutely.
Kyle, what other steps should people think about at the start of the year?
Oh, you set that up very nicely. So that's a great question. And the answer is simple and found in our Simple Steps to Living Well Together program. I hope that our colleague Michelle is listening as we're recording this, and you told me she likes cheesy. I hope that meets her threshold. So what are those simple steps? One, schedule your routine physical exam. We also talked about this with Paula and with a number of other guests in the last year. But if you don't have a primary care provider, this is a great time to find one. Go through our network search tool, find somebody who's in network, because in network or overseas, that's covered at 100%. And in conjunction with the physical, or even separate from it, if you want, you can have your biometric screening completed. You can go back to that same website I mentioned before for our wellness programs, find the link to Quest Diagnostics. There are options there where you can either schedule it to go to Quest Patient Service Center here in the US, or print out a form for your provider to complete, whether that's overseas or in the US if you want to take it to your doctor. But usually the doctor, your provider is going to complete the biometric screening as part of your physical. We're looking at things like your HDL cholesterol, your triglycerides, your blood pressure, your waist circumference, and your glucose. And once you've completed the physical and passed 3 of those 5 criteria that I just mentioned, you get $100 in incentives. So they're just getting your annual physical with the biometric piece and completing your HRA. You've got $175 in incentives for the year for everybody who's covered age 18 and older.
And why is it important to do the HRA and get the physical and biometric screening?
So you and I just finished talking about resolutions, and a lot of us make health-related resolutions. You and I both did. But these 3 actions together, the physical, the HRA, and the biometric screening, will help you get an idea of where you are in your health journey and establish some health goals for the year. The HRA is literally your health risk assessment. So it's going to help you identify any risks that you have, but also you can say, I've got goals to exercise, to manage a chronic condition, whatever it is. But that HRA also at the end of it, they'll let you know, here are some programs that FSBP offers that can help you meet those goals, help you manage those conditions that may be of concern.
And Kyle, we mentioned this at the top of the episode from our last episode on the new coaching program with Dr. Rubens and Leah Briggs. Can you tell us, for those that missed that episode, can you tell us a little bit about the new coaching program?
No, they should go back and listen to the last episode. It was honestly one of my favorite that we've done. Both our conversation beforehand and our conversation with the guests. But as a preview, the Lifestyle and Condition Coaching Program, or the LCC, offers support to our members, our FSBP members, for more than 40 different conditions and health goals, from things like getting more sleep, eating better, exercising more, managing stress, managing conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, even into more complex conditions like chronic pain and cancer. Um, there is help out there. The program, the LCC, the coaching program is offered to our members at no cost. So I want to encourage people, listen to that episode, give them a call, check it out online, but make use of the program. There's telephonic and online options for engaging in coaching, as well as individual and group sessions, so that you've got maybe some peer support as well as that professional support from the coach. So Hannah, I appreciate that you had that in mind over the holidays, and our you don't seem to need the coaching, it sounds like, with your exercise routine and eating healthy and things like that. So I'm glad that was enough to get you started.
We'll see what happens for the rest of the year. So Kyle, what else should members be thinking about?
Well, life is not just about our physical health. You and I have talked a lot on previous episodes about mental and behavioral health needs, about our own experiences, about what's offered to our members, about how the physical and the mental aspects of our lives interact. So I want to encourage our listeners, go back to some of our earliest episodes to learn about tools such as My Strength and Able To. Those were some of our earliest podcasts that were published. And I also want to say, look at the benefits we offer for behavioral health needs, including in particular telemedicine visits and telehealth. The telehealth is covered at 100% when you go through Teledoc for stateside members, and we have a new program for overseas members through vHealth. We've also talked about hearing health, which is a passion of mine. I might not hear what others have to say, but I'll make sure they hear what I have to say about it. And we also talked about dental health and just keeping up with those preventive services, even as we're in the midst of the pandemic. But one thing that we haven't talked as much about, Hannah, is financial wellness. I've been out of school a lot longer than you have, and I'm still paying off my student loans. I don't know if you have any student loans and if you're working on them.
Oh yeah, who
Okay,
doesn't
right.
these days?
Yeah, no, I carried mine from undergrad and then grad school. Luckily had that delay and then had to start paying them. I think I've only got about one more year left, but I do get that notice of a withdrawal every month. And things are on with student loans, things are on delay for right now. But that doesn't mean that we're not thinking about it. That doesn't mean that maybe we've got other goals in terms of maybe building up more personal reserves in case of an emergency, saving up for a home, college savings for ourselves to go back to grad school, or for others in the family. And so we've partnered with Prudential actually for over a year now to offer a free financial wellness tool for our members. And there's pieces there to help with budgeting, with managing debt, and more. And you can access this on our website under the professional services tab. You'll see the financial wellness. Please check that out. It is a free tool, and it can be very helpful in managing what your needs are.
And what about the podcast? What's in store in 2022 for AFSPA Talks?
Okay, well, this has been a real highlight of the last year for me, is to do these podcasts. We've heard from some of our listeners. We'd love to hear from more of them, but we've heard from some of our listeners about what they've liked, what's worked for them. And we're trying to plan things. This is not a sales podcast. We've done that a few times, but for the most part, we're trying to get information to our members that they're interested in. And we've done some planning, Hannah. And actually in the next couple months, this may be our only podcast for the month of January, because I took the holidays off. You took the holidays. You had some time off as well. And we didn't do a lot of content planning, but we've got some things in the works. We've got a mini series coming up on Medicare, which may not be the right thing for everybody right now, but will be the right thing for everybody someday. So we're going to have an episode about Medicare and the FEHB, another one with how exploring how Medicare works with TRICARE and the FEHB, because we get that question a lot from people who are veterans and have TRICARE, and then the FEHB and Medicare, and why should they choose this and that. And there's also a lot of federal plans out there that are offering a Medicare Advantage option within the plan, and Medicare Advantage is growing in popularity across the United States. So we're going to have somebody on to talk about those Medicare Advantage plans. So these hopefully are episodes that people will refer back to in the future. And then a bit later in the year, we've got the idea right now. We've got to line up the speakers for this next mini series. We get a lot of questions about fertility treatments and assisted reproductive technologies and things like that. And while most FEHB plans, including FSBP, do not offer benefits for assisted reproductive technology, so things like IVF or IUI and so forth, that doesn't mean that people aren't accessing these technologies. That doesn't mean that they don't have questions about dealing with challenges when it comes to fertility. So we're going to hopefully do a mini series exploring what the different options are, what the different the artificial reproductive technology options are, about mental health around accessing these technologies and facing challenges with fertility, and other aspects, perhaps looking at the experience of LGBTQ members and others as they're looking at forming their own families and what that might mean for them. So we're still working on the details. I'd love to know what people want to hear as part of that mini series. I hear from people at least monthly about these benefits and what's out there. So please send those to me or get that information to us, because we're putting that together for a couple months in the future. So as I said, this is probably going to be our last episode for a few weeks. We will definitely be back in February, I think, with those Medicare episodes. But it is probably, it's not my last episode, but Hannah, I think it is your last episode. You are moving on to a new opportunity. And I just want to say thank you, because this podcast would not have been possible without your skills. You really made this happen. You brought some fantastic know-how and experience from your education, from your time with ESPN and other professional experiences, and you made this happen. You've made me sound smart. At least I hope so. This could be your last time if you don't edit this episode correctly, but you made me sound smart. But you've also made sure that we get good ideas and good information out to our members. And that has meant a lot to a lot of people, myself in particular. This has been fun. So thank you very much. And I hope that you'll continue listening and continue sending critiques and ideas and making us better as a continuing friend of AFSPA. And is there anything you'd like to say as we prepare to wrap up?
Just thank you to all of our listeners, and thank you for the feedback that we've gotten. That's been huge and amazing to hear. And thank you, Kyle, because it has been a pleasure working with you on this, and you make the job easy. You are an extremely intelligent man, so thank you. And I really have appreciated all the experience we've got doing this.
Well, Hannah, thank you very much. She's still on the payroll, so she had to say those things. But we will miss you, and we hope to keep in touch with you. And so next time we have a podcast, it's either just going to be me, or I will have some new support. I will not be able to edit this on my own, so somebody will be supporting me in some way. I guarantee that. But Hannah, again, thank you very much. To our listeners, Happy New Year. Thanks for sticking with us. Please stick with us, and we'll be back in February, if not before, with some new episodes. And please send us ideas for content that you'd like to learn more about. Thanks for joining us for this episode of AFSPA Talks, a production of the American Foreign Service Protective Association. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show, and tell your friends about it. We welcome your feedback on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Look for @AFSPA Cares. All information offered in this podcast is meant to be educational. Comments offered by the hosts or guests are not intended as medical advice. Please direct questions about your personal health needs to a provider. Should there be any discrepancy between information offered in this podcast and official plan documents for the Foreign Service Benefit Plan or other products offered by AFSPA, the policy provisions will prevail. Special thanks, as always, to Hannah Wolfhart for producing, editing, and mixing this episode. We'll see you next time.